What is up, everybody? What is happening? My name is Control for Days. Today we are going to be running through a modern league with the deck Black Green Yawgmoth, but before we do that, I want to take a look at the set Phyrexia All Will Be One, which just dropped this week, and I want to talk about the impact of some of the spoilers, some of the biggest cards in the set as they pertain to the modern format, and particularly myself being a Yawgmoth player, how they will affect me and my deck, and maybe you and your deck as well. So we're going to jump into what I think are the 5 most important spoilers for us to have on our radar. And my hope is over the course of the league that we're playing tonight, we have a chance to interact with a couple of these cards and get a feel for how they affect the Yawgmoth matchup with whatever deck we're playing against, and just how they affect the format as a whole. So let's take a look at those 5 cards that I have on my radar, and then we'll jump into a league after that. All right, so the first card, and probably the most obvious out of this set, is the kind of the namesake, the mascot of Phyrexia All Will Be One, and that is Elish Norn, Mother of Machines. A super powerful card, a super pushed card that will likely see play in Standard. I would imagine it's probably going to see play in Pioneer in some way, shape, or form, even though it's not a format I'm particularly familiar with, and will likely see play in Modern as well. I foresee this card as more of a role player. I think it will be slotted in as a one-of in multiple different styles of decks, particularly elemental decks and blink style decks, and I don't foresee it having a huge impact on what Yawgmoth is doing. Obviously, if somebody has this in play and casts a Solitude and then ephemerates it, you're probably going to lose that game, but it's a 5-drop, and I think it's a card that will be minimally impactful as a Yawgmoth player and will be more of a role player as a whole. The second card I have on my radar is the Mycosynth Gardens. And this is a card that I think is going to be played in Amulet Titan decks, and also has a very, can have significant implications as a potential combo piece. I don't know if that is going to work in Modern necessarily. In Legacy, I think it definitely can make waves, but in Modern, in Amulet Titan, this basically acts as your 5th, 6th, however many copies of Amulet as you're playing Mycosynth Gardens, and I think it's going to make the deck a little bit faster and a little bit more consistent. So this is definitely a card I have on my radar. This is definitely a card I expect to see when playing against Amulet, and I think this is going to have a significant impact on the consistency for that deck and the speed of that deck. The third card, honestly, I thought this card was overhyped. I thought it was a little bit overrated, and then today I watched a video my buddy Bryant Cook dropped where he ran this in a Storm style deck through a league, and he was turned to inconsistently throughout the league. This card's scary. This card can definitely make waves, and definitely has a potential to be busted alongside a card like Breach, and then just with mana ramping and Storm cards. So this is a card I would love to play against tonight, and a card that I think is going to have an impact in some way, whether or not it's like a top tier or a middle tier or a lower tier. But I think this card will be played in the format, and I'm interested to see how the decks evolve using this card. The fourth card, I think, is one of the biggest hyped cards in the set. When this card dropped, Minor Misstep, a lot of people were making a big deal about it, and I honestly think in Modern, I think this card's going to be a flop. I don't think it's going to be all that. In Legacy, maybe it's a better card. In Modern, I think that this is overhyped, and I think it won't see a ton of play 6 months to a year from now. Could be completely wrong. I can play back this video in 6 months and throw it in my face, but I honestly think that this card is not going to be what everybody thinks it's going to be. The fifth card is another one where people, particularly from a Yawgmoth perspective, when this got spoiled, people were freaking out. And I think there is very little to worry about with respect to this card. I'm sure I'll lose to it at some point, but to be honest, I think it's just a strict downgrade from Grafdigger's Cage and other pieces of graveyard hate. I don't know. I don't even know if this is going to see play, to be honest. Maybe it will, but I don't think it's anything that, as a Yawgmoth player, I need to be particularly worried about. And I don't think this card is going to have a huge impact on the format. So the first three I think we'll see play and will be pretty impactful cards in the metagame. The latter two, I'm not too hyped about. So we're going to jump into a league. I'm going to be running Yawgmoth version 9.2, I believe, which is the same list I ran in my video earlier this week. And we're going to see how things go, and hopefully we come across some of these cards. Let's go hunting. Let's do it. All right, everybody, we are up and at 'em. This is match 1 of our Modern League. Currently, Yawgmoth version 9.2. We are on the play. 0-0 record against scipios. Let's see what scipios has in store for us. Hopefully, some new cards that we can all learn about together. Opening 7 is a very acceptable 7. We're going to keep this. And I don't know if it's apparent to you guys, if my voice sounds a little funny. I've been a little sick all week, so if my voice starts cracking or I'm coughing, I apologize. That is why. All right, opponent keeps a 7-card hand. We are on the play. We're going to lead out Ignoble and pass the turn. Pretty straightforward right off the bat. Let's see what Scipios is up to. Scipios leads on a Saga, which right off the bat, somebody doing that makes me think one of 2 decks, Hammer Time or Amulet. And I'm going to hedge and say it's maybe Amulet. Turn 2, I think we're just going to play out our Martian Pass, and I think we're going to get an Endurance into play on their turn. So we're not going to push anything as of yet. Endurance is the more mana efficient play, which is why I'm opting for that as opposed to playing out the Geist. All right, Teleria West. So this is Amulet, and we'll see if we see some Mycosynth Gardens over the course of this game here. Endurance, we'll flash that in. We're not going to target anything because there's no graveyards. And we're passing back to our turn. Seiju is a good draw. I'm going to play out my Geist so I can leave the Seiju up and then move to combat and swing. And on their turn, I think I might pop the Saga during their upkeep so that they can't get an Amulet here. So they add a mana. It's going to be out of their pool by the end of their upkeep. So their Saga really didn't do much of anything here. They're on a 3-turn clock as it stands. Moving to their main phase now. I think they're depending pretty heavily on having that Amulet in play. So little change of plans for them maybe. Apologies to my opponent. Scipios. Alright, we have a Grazier. They play a... what do they call these? Karoo lands? Is that what they're called? One of those lands that they play that do things. Alright, so up to 4 mana, so they're getting close to a Titan here. They've played their land for turn, so they're not doing anything else there. And now we have a Yawgmoth, so we are going to get our Yawgmoth and start to put in some work. And I think we get our Dryad Arbor here. I don't think there's really a reason not to get the Dryad Arbor that I can think of off the top of my head. I could be mistaken, but seems like the thing to do. Get our Yawg, minus this Grazier, draw a card, and I imagine it is likely when we attack with this Strangleroot Geist that they will probably be blocking with the Grazier. Alright, so we pretty much have a win next turn. If they don't cast an Amulet, I think they're going to be hard-pressed to kill us. I'd be very surprised if they didn't block here. I don't really see a reason not to. See what they do. Alright, there's the block. The Grazier is sacrificing itself for the greater good of the Primeval Titan. Passing back to them. They have 4 mana up. Once again, if they don't have an Amulet, I'm not exactly sure how they're gonna go ham here. And from my understanding, these lists, they're starting to run an extra Azusa because of the Mycosynth, whatever the card's called that I mentioned earlier, Gardens. But not particularly scary without an amulet. Our opponent's doing some thinking. All right, they play out a Saga. They were contemplating paying costs for something. We'll see what they're playing here. All right, there's the Azusa that I was referencing a little bit earlier. Breeding Pool tapped. And to me, that says that this game is likely over. There's a Grist. Play out our Yawgmoth here. Let's start going crazy. All right, there's an Evo. Makes it really easy. So we'll Evo, get rid of our Dryad Arbor, get our Blood Artist, and that is a kill. And they scoop. All right, we're up 1. This matchup, I bring in a lot of cards, and I like having as much interaction as possible. The Force of Vigors are really strong. I like the crime punishments to hit amulets and hit sagas. Thoughtseize, Necromentia to interact with their hand, and Go for the Throat is just a nice versatile answer to whatever threat they're playing. Sideboarding out, we're going to get rid of 2 Court of Calling, 1 Endurance, at least 2 Grist, 1, 2 Undying Creatures. I might get rid of a second Geist, and then we're going to get rid of some Wall of Roots as well. I think that looks pretty good to me. I'm pretty happy with that. I think we're going to run that. Let's do it. In this matchup, generally you want to get game 1, which we got. Well, if you win game 1, I think you're pretty favored. This is a matchup that shifts heavily in Yawgmoth's favor post-board, so the fact that we won our first game is a good sign of things to come. I don't want to jinx myself, but I'm optimistic. We are back game 2 against our good friend Scipios. Our opening 7 is acceptable. It's a keep. It's not great, but it's fine. They lead Basic Forest into Grazer. They are ramping like whoa. Alright, so we got a target for our crime punishment here. And that was not a bad draw either. So we'll go Basic Forest into Bird. Pass the turn. And the next turn we'll be able to crime punishment. Best case situation, they cast another Saga. Let's see if they open themselves up to that. Whoo! They did. Alright. I like that. I like that. I don't know what noise I just made, but it was one of excitement because things are looking up. Is double Stone Rain for 2 mana good? I don't think our opponent... We might even just get a scoop here. We might get a scoop. Sorry, opponent. Okay, you can make a construct. Please do. Alright. Moving on. And next turn we have a Yawgmoth. They have 4 cards. They drew a card for turn. They're up to 5 cards. Play out a Teleria West and pass the turn. And from here, so I can do one of 2 things. I can play out Yawgmoth. I think I'm going to lead just playing the Yawg and then the Tomb tapped. And then next turn, I think I'm going to Evo the Geist into a Hapatra probably. And then I think that will just be game. I need to make sure I turn off auto yields. If they kill my Yawg here, I can just get another one next turn as well. Okay. We have double Geist. 1, 2, 1, 2. We're 1 mana short of just the kill. Alright, play out our first Geist. Evo the Geist. Get a Hapatra. And I have to imagine our opponent is going to think about scooping at this point. We're going to kill this Grazer and just go wide with our board state here. Thoughtseize, not great, not terrible. Necromentia is fine. I'm going to attack for 5. And I'm going to fetch basic and just cast out another Dork here. Just for next turn. And with them having 3 mana in play, I don't think there's too much they can do here. Given our board state. I think we're in pretty good shape here. Alright, another Grazer, sure. Put their Boros Garrison into play. 3 mana, they're going to cycle, or transmute the Teleria West here. Get themselves a Pact, I would imagine. Which, unfortunately for them, is not going to be good enough. And we're just going to get lethal in play here. Yield to the Hapatra, okay. Apparently my yields aren't working here for whatever reason. I'm not sure why, but taking a little longer than I would like, but it's making me click through everything here. Okay, we'll untap. I didn't actually count, but I'm assuming this is lethal. Okay, and we have our Evo here. I'll Evo a token away. Get ourselves a Blood Artist, and they did. They gone. They gone. Blood Artist. Boom. We'll move to combat. Swing with a lot. And they scoop. We got there. 1-0. No new cards, but I'm imagining it was somewhere in the deck. We are back up in this against good old AndySCWilson. Shout out to Andy. This is match 2 of our Modern League. We are going to be on the draw this time around. Currently 1-0. Black-green Yawgmoth. Opening 7 I think is a keep. It's kind of a weak keep, but I think it's still worth keeping. Turn 2 Grist, the prospect of that. Opponent leads on a Bashuka Bog, which leads me to believe we might be playing against Amulet again. So we'll see if we see a Mycosynth Gardens this time around. We're going to fetch, get a basic, and get our Hierarch into play. We'll pass turn from there. Feels like an Amulet. There's an Amulet. Okay. So our opponent's already doing better than our last round opponent did. 2 mana in pool. Explore. There's the Mycosynth Gardens. We did it, guys. The first card from the new set that we are seeing. And that is going to be super explosive next turn. Because they'll have 2 amulets in play. So that might not be good for us. We'll see how we fare. I think the move is fetch shock here, unfortunately. We'll play out our Grist, and then we're going to plus our Grist here. And the hope is, depending on what they do, there goes a Beseju, that sucks. Depending on what their turn looks like, my hope is that they swing into the Grist as opposed to swinging into me. But if they have like double Amulet, well, they do have double Amulet, that's going to be pretty bad for us. Alright, so they're activating the Garden. Second Amulet is in play. Vesuva, this is going to be 4 mana, so they'll go up to 5 mana. And I'm just going to yield through the turn. Nothing I can do here. So, if they can kill me, let's see it. And if they have like an Azusa or a Dryad, that would be enough to cast a Titan at that point. There's the Azusa. Okay, so they have like a million mana here. Okay, there's a Titan, hard cast, which means they don't have a pack to pay for here. And I imagine they're going to get Teleria West, maybe? And I believe they still have another land drop as well. So that's 6 more mana right there. This is pretty impressive. This is their turn 3. There's another Titan. And then I guess they get 2 hasty lands here. Or 1 hasty land, 2 activations, is what I meant to say. So this is a lethal attack if they're attacking me here. Okay, and they are. Okay. And there's the Sunhome, which is going to be lethal at this point. So we'll scoop it up. Impressive. All right, sideboard plan. We're going to do the same thing we did last round. We'll bring in here, 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 and here. -2 chords, minus endurance, 2 grist, 2 walls, a Geist, a wolf, and we're good to go. All right, we are back. Game 2. Currently down a game against Amulet Titan. Our opening 7 is super slow. We have a turn 4 kill if we can pull lands. I don't know if that's good enough, though. I feel like we need to mulligan this one. Like, if we draw Wall of Roots on turn 2 into land on turn 3, it's still a turn 4 kill. I'm going to mulligan it. I like this one better. It's not great, but it's a turn 3 Yawg, so we're going to keep it. Ship the Dryad Arbor. Hope it's good enough. They kept a 7 card hand. We're lacking interaction here, which is the problem. All right, we're going to lead Catacombs, fetch a basic, play out a bird, and pass the turn after we do so. And we will see what Andy has going on here. Andy leads on a Beseju into, okay, Grazier, into that thing. It's interesting this card isn't legendary either. Okay, Quarter Calling, not bad. We're going to go Yawgmoth and our bird. And then I guess the question is, do we get a Dryad Arbor EOT? I think it's a consideration. I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think we're probably going to get our Dryad Arbor here. All right, so they have the potential for three amulets on their next turn. So I think it's probably pretty important that we get rid of that. Probably going to be important that Amulet is not on the battlefield next turn. All right, let's see if we can pull another Yawgmoth here. That would be good. So I think we're going to start with an attack with the Yawgmoth. Make them think about it a little bit. Okay, there's a block to be expected. And from here, all right, we're going to play out our Yawg. And we'll hit the Grazer for 1 here. Hopefully this Yawg doesn't get dismembered in response. It doesn't seem to be. All right, there's a second Undire, which is good. Hit this Grazer again. That's going to go to the graveyard this time around. There's an Evo. Okay, I'm going to fetch and get ourselves our other basic forest. We're going to play out this Geist, and we're going to draw a handful of cards with the hope of finding a Force of Vigor. It is the card we need desperately. Crime Punishment, not good enough right now. Also not good enough. Necromentia, also not good enough. Okay, so they're up and running here. I have to go all in here. I can't let them have this, so I have to do something about it. We got 7 more draw steps to find ourselves a Force of Vigor here. If we had 2 endurances, that would potentially be an out, but we do not. Go for the Throat. Okay. There's a Boseiju. We're short of mana to be able to use that. It's interesting they did this activation during their upkeep. I'm not exactly sure the reasoning there. All right, we got 1 more draw to find a Force of Vigor. We're halfway through our deck at this point. And that is not a Force of Vigor. All right. I think we're losing this one. There is an Explorer. So they have 2 land drops. We'll see what they can use them for. If they have a Karoo land or not. It does not seem they do. All right. Cool. I didn't think we were surviving that one. I think we got lucky. All right. We're at 1 life. All right. So from here, I am going to get myself an Innkeeper. And then we're going to start going a little crazy. Okay. We're going to Evo the bird. Feels like a dismember here. Okay. Sure, that's fine. Get our Innkeeper, and I can just cast out another Yawg at this point, which is going to be lethal, so we'll take that. I could also just like crime for 1, but I mean, this gives us the win, so there's no reason not to do it. No. We'll lead with an attack. So once again, another situation where Prosperous Innkeeper wins us the game, where Blood Artist does not. Friendly reminder for all you Innkeeper haters out there. We can also just find ourselves a Chord here, if we draw a Chord before a Blood Artist. And that will also win the game, because we do have our Endurance in hand. Thoughtseize. I don't know where our Force of Vigors are, but there's another Evo. There's a Force of Vigor. We're going to keep drawing here. Draw into a Hierarch, draw into another Hierarch, down to 16 cards in our library. We only have 1 Chord left because I did board out 2 of them. All right, there's the Blood Artist, so I'm going to stop here, and we're going to discard a ton of stuff. Discard that, we'll get rid of Necromentia, Wolf, a bird, some lands, a couple walls. Okay, I think this is fine. We are in their upkeep, and I'm going to get rid of both these amulets, and I will discard a Yawgmoth here. And we win. All right, game 3. I think we got a little lucky there. Game 3, I think I'm actually going to bring in an extra Thoughtseize and another Yawgmoth. I'm going to cut another Geist. I might cut the Endurance here. No, I'm going to leave the second Geist, and I'm going to cut an Endurance. And we'll go from here. All right, opening 7 is a little slow, but I think it's acceptable. We have good interaction with the Force of Vigor, so we're going to keep it. This is a turn 3 Yawgmoth. It's been pretty apparent the power of this Mycosynth Gardens card. over the course of this match how impressive it is. I feel like it really takes the consistency of this Titan deck up a notch. It's pretty scary. All right, so lead on Saga, pass the turn. I'd prefer not to play out the Yawgmoth, but we have to ramp into our hierarchy here, so we are priced into it. Okay. Andy's turn 2. Saga goes up to 2. Play out a Mycosynth and pass the turn. All right, our turn 2 from here. We just play out our Yawgmoth and then we pass from here. And we have a cord up to get ourselves our Dryad Arbor. I guess there was an argument there for me to just pop the Force of Vigor. Maybe I should have done that. Okay, we're going to cord from here. Got our Dryad Arbor. And we have a Yawgmoth on our turn here. Once again, there's an argument to use the Force of Vigor. There's also an argument for me to attack first. I should have attacked first. That's the right play. Opponent is thinking here. I wonder if they're thinking about killing the Yawgmoth. We do have a land drop as well, so I can sack the Dryad Arbor to get my Blooming Marsh into play untapped. Swing for 2, see what they do. So I imagine they're probably going to Mycosynth copy the Amulet during my end step. And then from there, during their upkeep, we're going to Force of Vigor both of those amulets. So I think it was actually the right move not to Force of Vigor earlier. It's crazy that this thing becomes the artifact permanently and not just until end of turn. Or the next end step, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, I think from here we're just going to pass the turn. Oh, I forgot to play out a land. I had a land drop. That was stupid. Duh. Okay, upkeep. Pop, lock, and drop it. Let's go. I will take it. Force of Vigor is such a busted card. So good. Alright. We are moving back, and we should be... Alright, so that's just game... feels like they're F6'd here. All right, there's a Necromentia. We don't really need that. All right, there's a Boseiju as well, so that takes them off of an Amulet line. Evo, we're gonna get our Hapatra here, and this is just infinite snakes at this point. Technically, I should have attacked there with Yawgmoth first, but I don't think it really matters. So I don't know if our opponent wants to scoop, but yeah, this is infinite life. And we win the match. Okay, we got there. 2-0. All right, everybody, we are back. This is match 3 of our Modern League. Currently 2-0. Back-to-back matches against Amulet Titan. Can't hold us down. We are playing against CleverPPZ. We are on the play. We're going to take it. Opening hand is excellent. We will keep this. Please and thank you. Opponent keeps a 7-card hand. We're going to lead on our Boseiju here and play out a Hierarch. I spoil my plays for you guys. It's like I could leave you in suspense and not say what I'm going to play before I play it, but I've ruined it and I said it. So now you knew before I even did it. All right. Pass the turn. Their turn 1. All right. We're doing this again. Okay, cool. 3 matches in a row. Apparently, Amulet Titan is popular right now, if you did not notice. If you are unaware, yeah, we have to shock here, unfortunately. We'll get ourselves a Geist into play, and we have a potential for a turn 3 kill with this hand. If we can draw like a land into a wolf, and then find a cord off of our interactions with our Yawg and double Undyers, we can win next turn. It'll be during their turn, but it'll be essentially a turn 3 win. This is the Mono Amulet League. Alright, they get 2 more land drops. Let's see what they do with them, if anything. 1, 2, got it. Got it, good. Moving back to our turn. Alright, there's the land, and now we need a Yawgmoth. So here, play out my Yawgmoth. I'm going to minus a Zuza to start with, just to get an extra point of damage off the attack here. Swinging in with the Geist. Okay, okay. You want to block? That's fine. You don't want to block? That's fine. You want to block? That's fine. No, yes, no. Okay, cool. All right, we're going to sack our Hierarch. We found our wolf. We are firing on all cylinders here, and we found our cord. Okay, so we have a kill. Listen, I don't want to say we got lucky. I don't want to say this, that, or the other, but our deck is just really good. Upkeep. I would like to cast a Court of Calm and get myself a Blood Artist. Do you have any responses? No? Okay. I would like to kill you now. So when I stumbled over my words earlier and was describing how we get a turn 3 kill, this was what I was trying to describe. Let's go to game 2. All right, you guys, you are all probably very familiar with how to sideboard for this matchup at this point. We're gonna bring in 10 cards, and we are gonna board out 10 cards, as you do. This is too funny. I don't think I've ever played a league where I played against the same deck 5 times in a row. I've definitely played leagues where it's like Hammer Time 4 times or Death Shadow 4 times, but I've never hit like the 5 of a kind. And right now we're 3 in a row, so we'll see if we hit the 5 of a kind here. Let's go. Yeah, I don't think we can keep this. I don't. All right, opening 7. I do think we can keep this, and I think we get rid of. It's either Blood Artist land. I think we get rid of the Blood Artist. All right, they lead on a Saga. A very predictable start. Into an Amulet. I would love a Force of Vigor. All right, Yawgmoth is a fine draw. I think I'm going to shock here, actually. I'm not going to play out the Yavimaya because it helps them, so I'm not gonna do that just yet. Turn 2 Saga goes up. They have their Mycosynth, and now they have mana times infinity. And we will yield and pass the turn. All right, so from here, so on their turn, they can just go ham at this point. So I'm not going to be letting them do that if I have any say in the matter. We're going to get Primeval Titan. They have 1 in hand. They do have a Summoner's Pact, but they don't have a bounce land. And they have 2 Cultivator Colossi. But I definitely think we can beat this hand. As long as they don't draw a bounce land. If they draw a bounce land, they'll have infinite mana at that point. Okay, they have a 2/2. That is their hand. They have 4 cards. Drew their 5th. I guess they can get a expedition map. That is something they can do. So, and they get a relic instead. Okay, I didn't screenshot their list. I wasn't sure if they had a map. It wasn't clear to me. I think they're thinking or debating whether or not they want to get a 3rd amulet here. Or maybe they just pop the relic. Interesting. Okay. They literally took themselves off of lands there. That's really strange. In the Vesuva, they can't actually. I'm really confused. That line was a little awkward. All right, play out our Yawgmoth, and we will pass the turn from here. All right, so they have mana times infinity here. So they're going to get a Cultivator Colossus into play. I think they'll have a Cultivator. So they'll have 7 mana. Yeah, so they'll be able to play out the Colossus. They have 3 cards in hand. We know 2. We know 3 of the cards. All right, there's the Cultivator. It's just going to die though, isn't it? It does. Okay. So they'll be able to get another Cultivator Colossus from here, which will be a 1/1 when it enters play. And I believe we'll be able to just kill it from there as well, if my math checks out here. Yes, they have the 10 mana to get the Colossus, but they didn't return. Okay, there it is. Okay, so they're going to dismember our Yawg. Sure. Relic, sure. Brazier, sure. We do have a lot of mana here. Popping another Relic. 10 mana. And they have, they cast their first pact, so they're going to be able to Vesuva, get another pact, and then get another Titan into play. Another Colossus, I should say. But they're going to have 2 packs to pay for on their next turn, so unless they pull a bunch of lands, they're not going to be able to do that. 1, 2, sure, 3, 4. Okay. We'll see if this does it. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think they're going to be short. I think they're going to be short on mana to be able to pay for these packs. Unless they have a way to get another land into play. I'm going to yield from this point forward. Suppose if they drew a Dryad or an Azusa, they'll be able to pay for their pack next turn. Their second pack. There's the Explorer, sure. They're still going to be short based on the way they did this. Alright, there's the Azusa. So they have it now. I mean, they have a ton of mana, but this really isn't that impressive of a board state. They have a 5/5 trample. And their next turn is spoken for. If we draw Besage, we just win. Does that do anything? Not really. We'll play out our Geist, play out our Yawgmoth, and play out our Catacombs here. They're spending their entire turn. Well, I guess not necessarily their entire turn here, because they have the Azusa, they can cast a bunch of stuff. Okay, they play out a Growth Chamber. Play out a Vesuva, more mana. Add a bunch of mana, do nothing with it. Swing for 5, sure. We're down to 9. And we're still in a position where if we just draw a Yawgmoth, we just pretty much win from there. Go down to 8. Get myself a Swamp. And there's our Yawg. Okay. They have 5 cards in hand. And here I know that if they have a Dismember, I'm not playing around it. And it feels like they do. Okay. I guess the question is, do I draw another card? I think I'm actually going to draw 2 more cards here. I'm fetching with the Undying trigger on the stack here just so I don't draw into the Dryad Arbor. 4 life. This might be a mistake here. I might be going too low. 3/3. It's going to be a 2/2. But they will have the ability to play a bunch of lands. All right, so we're going to play out our Bird. And then pass the turn from here. I guess maybe I should have killed the Azusa. Maybe that was the move. Golgari Rot the Farm, all their triggers. We'll waste some time here. I'm just going to yield to these Amulet triggers at this point. I probably could know all of the cards in their hand at this point, but I honestly haven't been keeping track. Return the Bazooka back to their hand. Exile my graveyard, sure. Combat, they attack for 2. I will take that trade. Alright, they have 4 cards in hand. Alright, we drew into an Evo, which represents another Yawgmoth. And I think that's worthwhile getting. I wonder if we start with an attack for 4? I think so. We'll see if they want to block with the Colossus. I think I'm okay with that if they do. That is literally the last threat in their deck. Okay, block with a Grazer, sure. Okay, we'll Evo that away, get ourselves another Yawg. And here, I'm going to kill this Azusa now, just so they can't pump this Colossus more than what they have already. 1, 2, dump that, Hierarch into play, and we'll pass the turn from there. If we win this game, that would be crazy. I feel like we're a turn away from winning this game. And I wonder if we... I mean, they have infinite mana. I don't think the Force of Vigor really matters. We save it for a Dryad. Okay, Teleria West. It's interesting they cast that. Summoner's Pact, sure. I suppose this is another Azusa, okay. Sure. So the fact that that's not a Dryad does complicate things a little bit. So we might be priced into chump blocking here. Jukabog, exile my graveyard, sure. I think that's all their land drops. They do have another Teleria West in hand. And then they're going to attack. I am going to block. And minus Colossus. I'm down to 1 life. Second Force of Vigor. Not really what we wanted, but fine. Okay, from here, another Ignoble. So we have one Proliferate at 1 life here. We will play out our Ignoble and pass the turn. And depending on what they can do from a land drop perspective, may or may not be able to kill us here. There's their 4 mana for their pact. 3 cards in hand. Land 1. Alright, they only have 1. We're good. Yeah, that is kind of annoying there that they attack with that as well. We'll discard a Force of Vigor here and bump that down. And we lose our Hierarch, unfortunately. If we could draw into something like a Grist, that would be great. Thoughtseize is not ideal. We still only have 1 Proliferate here. Yeah, I think we just passed the turn once again. I feel like from here they're probably going to get 2 land drops. There's 1 bounce a land, 2. Yeah, we're in trouble. Transmute, sure. Wonder if they have any packs left. Alright, they got a Saga. That's fine. So this actually lets us kill the Colossus now. So I don't know that they're playing around this. This is a crazy game. A very, very crazy game. Alright. Got rid of their last Colossus. So they have 0 Colossus. I guess they're out at this point. It's just Urza Saga. Alright, Court of Calling. That is a good draw. We'll get a Hapatra on their turn. Or we might save it. We'll see. An Innkeeper. Innkeeper would be really good. Yeah, maybe that's the move. Alright, there's a Saga. I could also get myself a Might. I think I'm going to get the Innkeeper. And then just any creature we draw from this point is solid. I mean, Might gains us life as well. We do have a lot of non-land cards, non-creature cards as well in the deck, though. No, I'm going to go for the Innkeeper. Yeah, that was not a good one. Okay, I think we just passed 1 more turn here. They will get a Saga token. If we draw any creature, we can then get a Hapatra from there. Especially if it's like an Undyre. Alright, 3rd Amulet, sure. Creature. Alright, that's a good one. That is a good one. So we are at 2 life. They're going to get a Saga token. I didn't notice if they had a Shadow Spear or not. I would imagine they do in the list. We'll see what they get here. I don't know if Amulet plays Shadow Spear. I guess we're going to find out here. They get a bunch of 5/5s now. Alright, they do not. Alright, down goes Innkeeper. Thoughtseize is a terrible draw. We'll get our Hapatra, trigger. We'll block one of the constructs here. And transmute another Teleria West. I guess they get another Saga. I don't know how many Sagas they have left at this point. Untap. Alright, Beseiju is not terrible. 1, 1. Alright, we're gonna dump the Saga now. I suppose I could have used that on the construct, but I think this is a better move. Let me just pass the turn from here. See if they have another artifact. If they do, it'll pump the construct and we won't be able to block it, but if not, we'll be okay. Alright, we're gonna proliferate this thing down now. Discarding the Thoughtseize. What a crazy game. Alright, Hapatra is up. I forgot about that when you proliferate, you get an extra counter. So I think that opens up some lines for us here. We're going to sacrifice this and get our Blood Artist. And now we have a proliferate with the Hapatra. I think we might actually be able to steal this one. This is crazy. This game feels like it's been going on for like 2 hours. Alright, we're going to add a black mana here. We will use Beseiju. We'll get another Tomb. We'll proliferate. Done. Another token with the Hapatra here. And then we will pass the turn from there. Opponent has 1 card in hand. Okay, play an Explorer. Sure. Not really much of an issue there. Summoner's Pact. I'm not sure what they can get at this point. A Grazer. I think the game is over here. And they scoop. We got there. 3-0 against Amulet. That was a crazy one. I don't know if my commentary was up to par, but that was crazy. I was just absorbed in it. 3-0. Let's go. All right, we are up round 4 of our Modern League. We are on the play, currently 3-0. deathandcatmix is our opponent. We're taking that play, and we are running with it. Let's go. Opening 7, a little slow, but on the play, I think this is a keep. Let's see how this goes. Maybe we'll play against a deck other than Amulet Titan. Maybe we won't. We will see. Ideally, we play against a deck that has some new spice in it. Our opponent keeps a 7-card hand. I'm going to lead on my Marsh and then pass the turn here. I'm going to save the Verdant to potentially fetch out a Dryad Arbor. So we're gonna wait a moment on playing that one. Our opponent plays Boulder Loft Pathway and an Aether Vial. I wonder if this is like humans, maybe? Or something else? Something unknown. Unknown entity. Deck. Here I think we go Wall of Roots, and then next turn we go Geist into Chord, and then we get Yawg the following turn. Obviously contingent on what they're doing. We could just get a Yawg next turn. Vial is ticked up to 1. They play a second Boulder Loft Pathway and a second Aether Vial. They are cranking on all cylinders, sort of. I honestly don't know what they're doing, but they're doing something. They have 5 cards in hand. We drew into a Yawgmoth, and I think we're going to wait a turn to play that out. I think I'm going to go Catacombs, play out the Geist. I think we're just going to try to kill them next turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can get myself a Hapatra, or I could just get myself a Blood Artist. I think we're going to pass from here, see what they're doing, and then go from that point. Vials are ticking up. Vials galore here. Land number 3, Basic Forest. I wonder if they're running I wonder if this is like the Devoted Druid deck. I don't remember if they run Vials. I think they do. We're going to fetch here. I think they're contemplating whether or not they want a Vial. Okay. And I think I'm just going to get a Swamp. I'm going to hold off on the Dryad Arbor for the time being. We're going to Chord for 2. This is pretty telegraphed. I think they're aware that this is what's going on. I'm going to get a Patra. We are playing around their potential for a build out their board state with a bunch of creatures. I'm just going to lead Yawg. Probably should have played my Verdant first. I think that's probably the right play. Let's see what they do from here. They're thinking about their Vial. Okay, play out a Verdant Catacombs. And then we're going to attack with both our creatures from here. And unless they have something like a Phyrexian Revoker to shut off our Yawgmoth, I don't think there's too much they can do. I think I'm going to put a counter on that Patra here. We'll go a little wide. Alright, we got a Death Toucher. And I imagine they're going to activate this Vial here. And they don't. Still nothing on deck here. This feels like they're trying to do something combo-y, so we'll see what happens from here. On our next turn, I would like to have 2 black mana up to be able to proliferate with Yawgmoth. Okay, so we are going to answer this with the Vial activations on the stack here. We're not going to give them the opportunity. Alright, so a 3, a 2. We'll see what the first one is. Lion Sash, sure. Alright, we're going to fetch here. We're going to deal with this Lion Sash. Not too big of a deal. Not sure. I wonder if this is just like some sort of like Taxes style deck. Like if they want to use their turn just like killing my Yawg, that's fine. Or trying to. Sure. You eat that. Okay. Just giving me more activations with my Hapatra here. Alright, there's an Innkeeper. Then we have 1, 2. We got 2 more targets on the Solitude here. So we'll draw 2 more cards. I think we're fine with this. Okay, they have a second card coming in off of this Vial. Let's see what the second card is. I guess I could have Besaged the Vial. And I think they opt not to do anything there. Alright, there's another. We can draw another card or another 2 cards potentially. I honestly don't really think we need to though, so I think we're just gonna let this happen. Sure, and we're just so far ahead on board here. Okay, so we can go Innkeeper, 1-2 on an Innkeeper, 1-2-3-4. Okay, yeah, we just have infinite from this point. So I'm gonna shock, Innkeeper, Yawgmoth. We're gonna Evo away our Wall of Roots, get another Yawgmoth, and then we have infinite draw steps here. And they scoop. Okay. Yeah, you're not winning that one. Okay. So we're against some sort of Solitude, Aether Vial. It just feels like a Taxes deck, so I'm guessing these cards are probably fine. And maybe a Go for the Throat. Go for the Throat might be a little underpowered, but I think it's fine. In terms of cards we're boarding out, definitely getting rid of Endurance. Probably some number of Wall of Roots here. Geist feels medium. If they don't have Planeswalkers, like generally I feel like Geist loses a little bit of value. I might even shave the second Endurance here. Go for the Throat. Might 3 Thoughtseize. I'm going to shave a third Wall of Roots. I wonder if I cut back on a Chord as well. Grist is another card where I'm like, it's kind of medium. Maybe we go up a Wall of Roots. Yeah, I think we'll go with this. We'll try this configuration. Death and Taxes-ish .deck. Opening 7. I think this is acceptable. We'll keep it. They mulligan to 6. We have a turn 2 Grist or a turn 3 Yawgmoth. They mulligan to 5. Alright, they're on a 5-card hand. Let's see how this one goes. No turn 1 Vial. So from there, that's pretty good for us. And I think because we drew that Twilight Mirror, I'm actually going to fetch, get a basic, play out our Hierarch. Maybe it's wrong to get a basic just because they have cards. They might have some sort of way to like destroy lands, and the only cards we can get are basics, but I think this one's fine. 2 mana. Stoneforge. Sure. You have a Stoneforge. I ain't scared. Cauldron. Sure. Cauldron really not as scary as it used to be. Alright, so from here, I think we're okay with them spending their turn getting Cauldron into play, so I actually think I'm going to go Geist and Wolf, and then just try to kill them next turn. We'll hit for 3, play out a Yawgmoth, and then pass the turn from here. Like, they're fairly limited with the number of tricks they can do at this point. Like, Cauldron's coming into play, we're going to take a hit for 5, down to 14. And then, like, they can have Solitude Ephemerate, that's like worst case scenario for us, but we can deal with that if that's what they do. We can kind of deal with that. Alright, hit for 5, sure. Alright, Wall of Roots is actually a pretty good draw, so that now if we draw a Chord of Calling, we just have the win. So I'm going to play land here. I'm going to lead by with an attack for 3. Put them down to 14. Play our Wall of Roots, and we're going to Evo, hoping they don't have like a Mana Tide, which I don't really know what they're doing, so that's definitely a possibility. Feels like they're thinking about something like a Solitude here. They paused for a moment. Alright, we'll get our Yawgmoth, and then we will pass the turn. They have 4 cards in hand. Going to attack with their Cauldron. Yeah, I'm not going to block. I'm going to minus the Cauldron here. So we'll take a hit for 4 as opposed to 5. We'll get to draw a card. Okay, they're flashing in something with Stoneforge. Not sure what this would be. Alright, there's the Lion Sash again. So they're going to eat our Yawgmoth. I guess I could have played around that. I forgot it was an equipment and they can flash it in. But I still don't think it's that big a deal. Solitude. Okay, they're going down to 0 cards in hand here. Their timing on this is really interesting. Sure. So we'll go down to 11 as opposed to 12. And they have 1 mana up for this Lion Sash. And that gives us a Hapatra, which pretty much should lock things up, I think. They're hellbent at this point, so I don't think they're going to come back from this one. Play out our Yawg. We're going to fetch down to 10. Dried Arbor. I could also just get like a Blood Artist, but I think Hapatra's probably better. And then we're just going to chew up their board. We're going to eat the Lion Sash. I just have to make sure I leave enough back to be able to deal with the Cauldron. Down to 6. Deal with that. Okay, and now I think we're going to deal with this Lion Sash here. We're going to need a card. We're going to kill that. Okay, and now... Okay, so next turn we just get ourselves a Blood Artist and we win the game from there. I wonder if we can just do that now. 1, 2... 1, 2, 3. No, we'll just hold off for now. I think we're fine. Like, Solitude, yeah, they just have a redraw with a Canopy. That doesn't really do anything. Like, Path to Exile is the way they win, I guess. Alright, and from here, this is pretty straightforward, I think. Alright, I'm going to Evo away a Snake, and they scoop. Alright, we're 4-0. You got him. Got him good. No new cards here. This is, I don't know what, why. Death and Taxes. Why? Alright, we are back up in this 4-0. This is our second league in a row. We're playing for a 5-0. Playing against Willthepill. We are on the play. Yawgmoth version 9.2. And unfortunately, we cannot keep this one. This is a little light on the lands. So we're going to mulligan this, send this back. 6 card hand is definitely slow, but I think it's a keep. So we're gonna run with this. And I am going to send a Yawgmoth back. We'll see how this goes. And our a good friend Willthepill keeps their 7 card hand. We'll play out our Tomb, tapped, and pass the turn. We lost our last 5-0 shot. We 4-0'd and then lost the 5-0 match. We'll see if we can get it this time around. Feels like Murktide. They're leading on a Dragon's Rage. We will lead on our Wall of Roots, and that was a pretty good draw. We like that one. That one is very important in this matchup. So, best draw from here is probably a land. We'll see if they tap out on their turn 2. They shock. Second Dragon's Rage. And, okay, an attack. We'll block that. Oh, okay. So this is not what we thought it was. This appears to be Prowess. It's weird they don't have a, there's no Gigantha on the other side, so it's a little confusing. We're going to play out our Young Wolf here. Pass the turn. So the plan from here is to get our Endurance into play, and then go from there. This is going to be an expressive iteration. Okay, Manamorphose, that's fine. The plan here is to kill both of the Dragon's Rage channelers, so the hope is that they fill up their graveyard a little bit, flash in our Endurance, and then block from there. So only instants in the graveyard as it stands. Double red in the pool. Third red available. And a Swift Spear enters the fray. And Breach is not particularly scary. So we'll see what they do from here. Alright, so we're going to get rid of all this stuff. They have the Mutagenic and they have the Lava Dart. So we're not going to let them make use of these things. So if they have more pump in their hands, something like another Mutagenic Growth, that will be pretty bad for us, but otherwise I think we're okay. Okay, so our Endurance goes down to a 2-3. We're going to take a hit this turn. 3, 4. Okay, I think we block here. We're going to take a hit for 3. We're going to go down to 17. But we should have quite a few blockers on our next turn here. Breach is gone, 2 cards in hand. They do have the board advantage. Geist is a little slow, so I think we're just going to play out our Grist plus, and then we'll pass the turn from here. We do need to pull a land so we can get our Endurance into play. The hope is they attack into the Grist here. So if they do that, I think we'll be happy with that chain, that interaction. They have 3 card types already. So if they have a fetch land, they'll go up to 4. So their Dragon's Rages will be 3 power creatures. Alright, hitting our Endurance here. And we're likely in quite a bit of trouble at this point. Okay, so both the Dragon Rage have Delirium. This is going to be a big hit. It's amazing how quickly these decks fill up their graveyards. Alright, they're Hellbent. So we really need to get our Yawg into play. We'll see where they send their attacks. 3 at Grist, 3 at me, 3 at me, 3 at me. Okay. Alright, so we really need to preserve our life total here, so we are going to do just that. We'll go down to 14. They're going to draw cards, so they'll have 2 cards on their turn. Innkeeper is not ideal, but it will gain us some life here. But we're going to take a big hit on their turn. Okay, so that is our board. And they're going to be close to having lethal here. Lightning Bolt targeting Innkeeper, sure. It's interesting they targeted the Innkeeper here and not me. I feel like Crime Punishment would be pretty good right about now. Game 1, obviously, but seems powerful. And they put 2 cards in their graveyard, I think. Swing with the team. 1 at Grist, and the rest at me. 3, 5, 7 puts us down to 9. Yeah, I think we're down to 9 here. Not ideal. Alright, we got our land, we needed that. And from here we're going to get Yawg into play. And we are hard pressed to survive at this point. So we basically need another Endurance to be able to win this game. Anamorphose, if they draw into something like a Breach from here, we're just going to be dead. We have blockers for the 3 ground creatures. Alright, there's another Breach. They don't actually have mana to cast, so they're going to draw a bunch of cards, but they can't kill us this turn. So unless they have another land in hand, we're still okay. But we will definitely be dead next turn. So we basically need to draw Wolf into a Blood Artist. Alright, there's a land. Yeah, that's going to be lethal from this point. Okay. We'll scoop this one. Game 2. Doesn't feel great. We're going to bring the Crime Punishment, the Shieldred, the Endurances. Ooze is a maybe. We're bringing the Go for the Throat. I think the Might. I'm not sure about the Ooze. I don't think the Ooze. I think it's too mana intensive, so I think we're going to pass on that. I'm going to shave on Grists. Chords. Chords are too slow. Some number of birds. I wonder if I shave Hierarchs because birds can block flyers. And go with this. Tempted by the Ooze, just the fact that I can gain life and eat cards out of their graveyard. I feel like that's probably worth bringing in. Maybe shave a Geist or another Chord. It's close here. I think we're going to shave a Geist. Go with that. Alright, we're on the play. Feels better. Game 2. Our hand game 1 was really slow too. I think this is a keep. This one curves out pretty nicely. We have Endurance, we have Go for the Throat as a way to interact. They mulligan to 6. We're going to be able to preserve our life total with this Yawgmoth as well. Play our Yawgmoth and pass the turn. Alright, Willthepill. We need this 5-0. Don't do us like this. They play the Spire Bluff and a Soulscar Mage. We're okay with that. Into a Bauble. Sure. Looking at our top card and passing the turn. Our turn to pull Yawg. Okay. I'm not going to take any damage off this. And then we do have a Chord. We have Chord up, but at the same time, we can't get a black source. We do need a second black source to get our Yawg into play. So this isn't that good. 2 mana Manamorphose, sure. 2 mana in pool. Vapor Snag my wall. Well, that's rude. Yeah, sure. You have a Vapor Snag. Lava Dart. Targeting my wolf. Sure. And we're going to take this block. I am going to make that trade. Preserve our life. Hope is we draw land here. We do not. Alright, so that's a little rough. I do think we need to get this wall back in play. So serves as a blocker. Alright, they're going to leave with an attack here. And this one I think we're going to take. We'll take the hit. Alright, we only take 1 here, so that was the right call. They have 4 cards in hand. We'll see what they do from this point. Alright, they bolt the wall. It's interesting they didn't do that before damage, and we are very okay with that trade. We'll take that. Alright, Yawgmoth. So they only have 2 cards in hand. And they missed out on 2 points of damage that turn. I'm going to play out the Yawgmoth here, just to have a chump blocker back. We'll gain a point of life, and we will pass the turn. We do have Endurance up if they have a Breach, so I feel like we're advantaged right now. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I do feel like we're ahead right now. Alright, Metamorphose, sure. Pump the Mage, draw a card. See if they have another land drop here. Bolt, Innkeeper, sure. Like if that's how they want to use their resources, I'm okay with that. Cut Shot the Wolf, sure. And once again, I will... I think this time around I'm going to take it. I'm going to go down to 15. This might be a mistake. But I have the Go for the Throat, and I have the Endurance, so I think I'm going to do a little preservation here. Next turn I will be blocking with the Yawgmoth here if I have the opportunity to. Okay, they scoop. Game 3, I don't think we're changing anything here. I think we keep this 60 and we go for it. Maybe I shave another chord, bring in another Geist, just have another chump blocker back. All right, all important game 3 for the 5-0. Deck, come on, deck. They keep a 7-card hand. Yeah, that's pretty obvious. Can't keep that one. 6-card hand, not great, but we're gonna keep it. We'll shave the Dryad Arbor. Let's see how this goes. Our mana base is gonna deal some damage here. This bird is not gonna survive. So I don't love this hand, and I don't love our chances with this hand. Best draw from here is a wolf. Okay, draw a wolf. That's what we wanted. We got Chump Blocker, so feels a little bit better. Next turn we'll go Wall of Roots into a bird. Okay, Dragon's Rage, sure. I'm gonna start filling up the graveyard now. This is probably like one of the most degenerate cards in Modern, or Mishra's Bauble. I feel like this card, it's gonna get the axe at some point. I feel like it has to. Like, it's like the slowed down version of Gitaxian Probe. Like, if you're gonna ban Probe, I think this thing's gotta go too. Enough's enough. They have 3 cards in hand. I think we're gonna take this. Okay, we made the right choice here. They have 4 cards in hand. Shieldred, not a bad draw. I'm gonna fetch a basic. Life loss, kind of unfortunate, but I feel like if we can stick Shieldred, we have a chance. Bird's gonna die. We'll pass the turn from here. We will be chump blocking with the wolf this turn if we have the chance. Bird's done. Yes. Another card in the graveyard, sure. 3 card types. 3 cards in hand. Yikes. We're faced with like a little bit of a dilemma next turn, because if we want to get this Shieldred in play as it stands, we do have to fetch Shock. Alright, they have 4 card types. There goes the Wall of Roots. Never mind. It's interesting they're on this build. This is really not like the popular build right now. This is more of like 2020 build of Prowess. Entity, sure. Alright, we're taking a big hit here. 3, 6 down to 10. Grist minus kill the Stormwig. Block the Soul Scar. Grist dies. Okay, yeah, this is like really bad. Really bad. We're down to 9. Alright, so here we have to hope they attack into the Grist, and they don't have like a spell. If they just have like Burn Spell, kill our wolf, into another burn spell, they'd probably just kill us. Like if they have like Bolt or something like that, we're just dead. This is an iteration, yeah. Yeah, I think we're losing this one. This is unfortunate. 2 straight 5-0s, it feels like. Alright, they milled a Lava Dart, and I think that's going to be lethal, most likely. 1, 2, 7 on board. Land drop. So if they have a spell in hand, it's pretty much lethal. Alright. Alright, they're beating us with their 2018 list here. I will say this is probably not the best matchup here. The reason I'm not scooping is in the off chance they attack my Grist. I don't think they will. But, yeah. Alright. Alright, so Yawgmoth version 9.2. Another solid run. 4-1 league. Started off 4-0. Again, I'm not a finisher, guys. I apologize. This is what I do. I 4-1 on the regular. 5-0, not so much. List is great. Interesting to see some of the new cards. I guess we only saw one of the new cards, Mycosynth Gardens, which seems incredibly powerful, but it doesn't seem to change our matchup against that deck very much. I would imagine the Death and Taxes, that was the fourth deck we played. I would imagine that deck was probably running the new... I would imagine they were running the new Elishnorn somewhere in the list, probably as a one of, but we never saw that. And then Prowess, you know, this outdated build of Prowess that we lost to. Disappointing. But this is currently my preferred build of this deck. I think 3 Thoughtseize are good. Maybe I need something else to contend with a deck like Prowess. I seem to keep losing to it in moments that matter. I lost to it late into a challenge, and I lost it here for the 5-0, so I feel like it's a deck that's represented enough where I could probably include another card or something more efficient to deal with what they're doing, but I'm tired of losing to them. So, hope you've enjoyed this video. Keep your eyes out for all of those new cards that will be in the metagame this week. Do not overreact, do not panic. This deck is still solid. It is still a tier 1 deck in my opinion, and I think it still will hold its own despite the fact that it did not get any new cards with this set. Sorry, Cankerbloom, you're not good enough. So I am checking out. This is my last video of the week. I will see you guys again next week on Monday. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate the support. Everybody, you know the deal. Be well.